A couple of years ago, oops, sorry about that. A couple of years ago, scientists discovered certain genes that had a huge effect on health and aging. These genes are called SIRT, which stands for Silent Information Regulator. And what they do is they turn off some genes and they turn off other genes. These genes are in humans, there's 7 of them, 1 through 7. They were first discovered in animals, and they were discovered to have tremendous effects on helping cells maintain their viability, and it also seemed to have a life extension effect. Then further research showed that they also operate in humans. And as I said, the most famous one is called SIRT-1, and this is publicized. I don't even want to mention this particular scientist's name. He's out of Harvard University. He's a so-called longevity doctor. I literally lost a lot of faith in this guy. When I'm about to tell you, 90% of you will know who he is. When I give you this hint, he's been pushing a product called NMN for several years. First, he pushed a product called resveratrol. Now, resveratrol, he said, is the most potent natural stimulator of SIRT-1, and because of that, has a number of health effects. It helps reduce body fat, helps your cardiovascular system, and in animals, it extended their lives considerably. And then he was pushing this supplement, resveratrol, or not a supplement, it's a substance. It's found naturally in stuff like red wine in small amounts, blueberries, peanuts, a couple other things. It's also available as a supplement. As a matter of fact, when he came out with the information that resveratrol was a potent stimulator of SIRT-1, some of these life extension enthusiasts, or they call themselves biohackers, they started ingesting massive amounts, because the amount of resveratrol that he gave to, let's say, lab rats that improved their health and extended their longevity was massive amounts compared to what you'd get naturally in food or even red wine. You'd have to drink something like 500 bottles of red wine, and the alcohol content would kill you way before the resveratrol ever helped you. But anyway, he started pushing these resveratrol supplements, and these kind of nut job biohackers started taking massive amounts of resveratrol, even though there wasn't a lot of human research on the possible side effects. Nobody knew what the correct dosage for humans was. They only estimated it based on what was given to the rats. And that's always a problem, because rats often metabolize substances and drugs and even nutrients far differently than humans do. So to extrapolate a rat dosage to humans is already fraught with danger. And it turns out that massive amounts of resveratrol are harmful to your heart, the cardiovascular system, and who knows how many of these people actually hurt themselves by taking these massive doses of resveratrol. When I'm talking massive dose. I'm talking 2,000, 1,000, 2,000 milligrams, 3,000 milligrams a day, and up. And I have to admit, the scientist who popularized resveratrol, he didn't tell them to take those dosages. They took that on their own volition because of these spectacular results that the scientists had achieved with the rats. Like, for example, the rats' gray hair turned back into black, and fat rats got thin, blah, blah. They figured by taking resveratrol, the same thing would happen to them, so they took these dosages. So what happened? If the scientist, when resveratrol was just tremendously popular, not just the crazy biohackers, but everybody a lot of people were buying resveratrol because it was thought to be a very healthy substance, and you really couldn't get a lot of it in food. Like I say, you'd have to drink a ton of red wine to get any kind of therapeutic amount. So they started buying resveratrol supplements, a huge bestseller. And this scientist saw this, and he decided to come out with a drug form. So he formed a company to try and develop a drug form of resveratrol. You can't patent resveratrol. You can't sell it as a drug because it's a natural substance, so it can't be patented. So by tweaking the molecule a little bit, you could kind of convert it into a drug, even though it's the same stuff, and you can get a patent on it. And of course, as a drug, because of the cost of drug development, which could be millions, the drug itself would be probably, anywhere from 10 to 50 times more expensive. However, you have to go through several stages of drug development before a drug is approved by the Food and Drug Administration. And it turns out that this kind of artificial drug form of resveratrol, it didn't work as expected. It turned out to be crap. But in the meantime, the scientist had sold the company he developed, or he started to develop this resveratrol drug. He sold it to a big drug company for $720 million. So, he made out, like the saying goes, he made out like a bandit, because the drug was never even released. The drug company lost $720 million. Don't cry for me, Argentina, when it comes to Big Pharma. They stink. They're terrible people. They only care about money, so I have no sympathy for them at all. But anyway, now we come up to more recently, he's pushing this stuff called NMN, and he gets people, again, same thing, show, it's going to do this. It stimulates this substance in the body called NAD, which is kind of a major energy producer in cells. It protects DNA. He claimed that it would probably, he didn't have definitive evidence, it would probably extend life in animals and possibly humans. Of course, the same thing happened with NMN that happened with resveratrol. It became a big bestseller. It still is as we speak. There's an alternative substance called NR, nicotinamide riboside, which there's two different camps. Some people say NR is better for inducing NAD. Others, like this scientist, say NMN is better. Nobody really knows. I know that NMN has a more direct route into the cell. NR, in studies with humans, shows that it doesn't even seem to get into the muscles where a lot of the NAD effects occur. So I'm not gonna take any stand on that. But the point is, the same scientist decide when he saw the popularity of NMN, again he forms another company, and even worse, he sends a letter to the Food and Drug Administration asking that commercial NMN, which by now was an extremely popular food supplement, expensive, very expensive, but popular, he wanted it kind of taken off the market pending the approval of his drug version. So in other words, if you follow this, he got people to really get involved with NMN where they were taking it, where they wanted to take it. He wanted it pulled off the market so that people would have to buy his drug version, which would probably cost about 30 times more than the supplement version. So this guy is a self-serving bastard. I wouldn't listen to any of his videos. He is associated with, this guy has no credibility at all. He has a great, background. In other words, he's a geneticist. He's a true scientist, but he's just an opportunist. So he doesn't have any credibility. But what's my point? My point here, he's the one that popularized the concept of sirtuins, or SIRT proteins, again, 1 through 7. And this, so I just discussed a little about SIRT-1, and it does definitely provide health effects in humans. There's no question about it. Whether resveratrol raises it a lot is debatable among scientists. Some scientists believe that resveratrol doesn't raise SIRT-1 at all. Others say it does. I'll leave that fight to them. I'm not going to, I have no dog in the fight, as the cliche says. But getting back to the sirtuins, there's one called Sirtuin 6, which is really apparently very helpful for longevity. They think it will work in humans as it does in animals. But from my perspective, after studying all the sirtuins, 1 through 7, one of the more interesting ones to me is called SIRT-3. Why? Because SIRT-3 is what they call the mitochondrial sirtuin. SIRT-3 works mostly in the mitochondria. The mitochondria are called the powerhouses of cells. They're cigar-shaped organisms that reside in the cytoplasm, or watery portion of the cell outside the nucleus. The mitochondria are extremely important. In fact, the mitochondria is the site of energy production as ATP. And for those of you who are interested in losing body fat, Mitochondria are the site where fat is actually oxidized. It's a process called beta oxidation. Carnitine and a certain enzyme called CAT, they ferry short-chain fatty acids into the mitochondria where the fatty acids are oxidized. And mitochondria are very important for muscle health. One theory of aging says that the loss of mitochondria in muscles is a major cause of the loss of muscle with age, which is called sarcopenia. They think there's a prevailing theory that if you can maintain mitochondria as you get older, you will not only be much healthier, you have a slower rate of aging everywhere. Your skin, your muscles, your heart, everything will be working much better if you have mitochondria in good shape. Unfortunately, as people age, as I said, they begin to lose mitochondria. When you're younger, the mitochondria have a process where they can it's a process called autophagy, where they can get rid of burnout mitochondria and replace them with new mitochondria. It's called mitophagy. Unfortunately, as people get older, this process goes down to nothing. So people, unless they do something about it, mitochondrial loss is inevitable. And with that, that means a loss of health and a loss of muscle with age. Now, where does SIRT-3 come in? SIRT-3, as I said, is the sirtuin most concerned with mitochondria. And SIRT-3 does a number of things. It activates what's it called? An endogenous antioxidant enzyme called superoxide dismutase, where in animals having more superoxide dismutase equals longer life, because superoxide dismutase, and there's different kinds, they're activated by minerals like zinc and manganese, but SIRT-3 also is involved in the production of superoxide dismutase. It inactivates reactive oxygen species, also known as free radicals, that in large amounts they tend to harm cells. They attack cell membranes. Among the other, SIRT-3 also activates what they call the TCA cycle, which has to do with energy production. It activates an enzyme involved in, again, the transport of fatty acids into the mitochondria, where the fatty acids are oxidized or burned. It activates a gene called FOXO3A. This particular gene has been shown to be in greater amounts in people that live to advanced ages. In other words, people who live to, let's say, 100 and over, maintain their levels of FOXO3A. So it seems to have a real anti-aging effect. SIRT-3 lowers fat or triglyceride content. As I said, it increases ATP synthesis, which is the immediate source of energy for cells, and it increases the biogenesis, or the production of new mitochondria. So now, what are the symptoms of having not enough SIRT-3? Well, you're going to be tired because your mitochondria are not working. Remember, mitochondria is where energy is produced. So if your mitochondria are below par, if you don't have enough of them, you're not going to be tired. You're going to get easily fatigued. You're going to tend to gain weight too easily because you're not burning fat at an optimal rate. And you'll also probably have insulin resistance, which is a precursor for type 2 diabetes. So SIRT-3, again, it's a mitochondrial protein, and it's mice that are lacking in SIRT-3. Animal studies show mice lacking in SIRT-3 show greater rates of obesity and insulin resistance when they go on a high-fat diet. A reduction of SIRT-3 leads to mitochondrial dysfunction and something called metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a constellation of different symptoms, all related to the development of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. It includes a wider waist circumference, higher resting blood glucose, higher resting insulin levels, and higher blood pressure. All of these things together are called the metabolic syndrome. Millions of people have the metabolic syndrome. You don't even feel it, but eventually you will get heart disease or diabetes. Having low SIRT-3 is also thought to be a cause for a condition called pulmonary hypertension, which is a elevation of the blood pressure in the lungs, which eventually can lead to right-sided heart failure. So, again, as I said, SIRT-3 increases acetyl coenzyme A, which is involved in the Krebs cycle, energy production. I mentioned some of the things it does. So you can see the importance of SIRT-3. It's very important for mitochondrial survival and optimal efficiency. So SIRT-3 is very important. Now, the good news about SIRT-3, and this is really good news, is you don't have to do anything special to increase SIRT-3. SIRT-3 is increased by fasting. Going on a fast will increase SIRT-3. Calorie reduction. Some people want to reduce their calories drastically, like the Calorie Reduction Society, where they reduce their total calories by 30 to 40%. Unfortunately, they lose a lot of muscle, but you don't have to go on that drastic. Any kind of calorie reduction is going to activate SIRT-3. And the other thing that does it is exercise. Exercise. Remember, when you exercise, let me give you a flat statement. Exercise is the best way to increase mitochondria. What does exercise do? The taking in of oxygen and the working out, it stimulates a substance called PGC1A, which is the master regulator of mitochondrial development or biogenesis. So every time you work out, you stimulate PGC1A and you stimulate something else called AMPK, both of which stimulate mitochondrial formation or genesis. So just exercising, fasting, and cutting your calories will increase SIRT-3 and go a long way towards preserving your mitochondria, your muscle, and your health, and probably extending your longevity. So what are some of the other natural ways to increase SIRT-3 besides those free methods? Well, cold. Being out in the cold increases SIRT-3. When you, for example, exercise in the cold, you cause your body to produce a thermogenic type of tissue to help keep your body warm called brown adipose tissue. Well, when brown adipose tissue is developed, SIRT-3 increases also. So cold can do it. As I said, NAD supplement precursors like nicotinamide riboside and NMN also increase SIRT-3. There's a supplement I talked about in a past video called PQQ. PQQ works by increasing PGC1A, and by doing that, it stimulates mitochondrial synthesis and also stimulates SIRT-3. PQQ is available in supplement form. I take 20 milligrams a day myself. Another supplement that increases SIRT-3 is lipoic acid. Resveratrol is also thought to increase SIRT-3. A supplement called berberine increases AMPK, and by doing so, it will also increase SIRT-3. EGCG also increases SIRT-3, and it actually decreases SIRT-3 in cancer cells, which means that the cancer cells have less energy, and it tends to cause them to self-destruct, a process called apoptosis. The branched chain amino acid leucine stimulates SIRT-3. The the leucine metabolite, HMB, which actually is not that great for building muscle, except under certain circumstances, meaning it's good for older people, it's good for beginners, and it's good if you're overtraining, but for anyone else, doesn't do much for building muscle. However, it does stimulate SIRT-3. And recent studies show, very interesting about, I'll just as a tangential addition here, they've showed that HMB actually helps to protect your brain against a buildup of certain substances which cause Alzheimer's disease. So HMB is turning out to be pretty good for health. Hydrogen peroxide, I don't recommend drinking that, but it's produced naturally in the body. It's kind of a type of reactive oxygen species that stimulates SIRT-3. A substance found in vegetables called camphorol will also increase SIRT-3. A substance found in coffee called caffeic acid also stimulates SIRT-3, as does another coffee constituent called chlorogenic acid, which is destroyed, unfortunately, with the normal coffee, but it's found in green coffee or raw coffee. Now, unfortunately, going on a ketogenic diet, which is defined as a diet that contains 25 grams of carbohydrates or less, unfortunately, my studies show that decreases SIRT-3. So that's not good. So if you go on a ketogenic diet, in other words, if you go on a diet that eliminates carbohydrates, it's probably a good idea to take some of these, or at least some of the substances that I just mentioned that'll stimulate SIRT-3 to offset the effects of the ketogenic diet. The drug metformin decreases SIRT-3 in the liver. Again, it can be offset by taking any of these other. It's interesting that metformin decreases SIRT-3 in the liver, and yet berberine, which basically does the same thing as metformin, increasing AMPK, raises SIRT-3. So it's very strange that it does that. So what else can I say? I think that's about it. I don't want to make this video too long, but I wanted to do this video on SIRT-3 because I find it's a very interesting compound. There is a supplement that is very potent, a direct booster of SIRT-3. It's called Onkiol. It's spelled Honkiel, I believe. The H is silent. So it's pronounced Onkiol. It's found in some supplements excuse me, that are touted for inducing sleep because Onkiol interacts with GABA A receptors in the brain. These are the same receptors that prescription sleeping pills interact with to help for you fall asleep. So Onkiol is a natural sleep inducer. It's pretty good at that. And as I said, there's supplemental forms. I was tempted to buy one myself until I looked at the cost. It's extremely expensive. It's even more expensive than NMN. I'm talking like it's like over $100 for a bottle of 100 tablets. It's 98% Onkiol is pretty good, but considering all the other substances that I just mentioned that also increase SIRT-3, I'm taking a lot of them already. To me, taking Onkiol, the only reason I would take it would be as a sleep inducer. And you could try it if you want. If you have the money, go to Amazon. You could buy Onkiol. I'm not involved in selling it, but it really does help. It's extracted from the magnolia plant. It's a natural substance. It's extracted from magnolia. It's been used in Chinese medicine for many thousands of years to treat anxiety and induce sleep. And it probably does. I have used sleep supplements that included it, and it did seem to help me sleep, but they had other things in it, so it's hard to attribute it strictly to the Onkiol. But like I say, you could buy it in isolated form. These supplements contain 98% Onkiol. Be prepared to spend about $100 plus tax and shipping. Probably costs you about $115. I personally, I couldn't afford that, especially considering all the exercise. I mean, I exercise all the time. I don't fast a lot. But what's the other thing? I'm not really on a calorie reduction diet, but the exercise alone is the most potent of the three for stimulating SIRT-3. So I don't need Onkiol, but I'll leave it up to you if you want to buy that. But that's about it for SIRT-3. Really good stuff. If you keep your SIRT-3 elevated, it will probably really keep your healthy. It'll extend your what they call health span. Lifespan is the actual amount of years you live. Health span is the amount of years that you stay healthy. So the ideal way to look at it is there's not many things you could do to really truly extend your lifespan, contrary to all this shit, all these videos that you see on YouTube that talk about extending life. Take this and you'll live to 115. They're all bullshit. Everyone touting that stuff is full of crap. Lifespan, there's not much you could do about it other than stay healthy and avoid negative things like smoking, eating excessively, obesity, drinking excessive all those things and smoking, of course, all those things will cut your life short. But there's not a lot of things that you can do that will significantly increase your lifespan. But what you have control of, and I'm talking complete control, is health span. In other words, you could do things like exercise, clean living, don't engage in any of those negative behaviors I just mentioned, exercise, and you could control your health span. So what will happen is you'll live as long as nature and your genes dictate, but you will probably be free of the major killers, cardiovascular disease and cancer, especially if your mitochondria stay in good shape through things like SIRT-3. So SIRT-3 will definitely help extend health span, which to me is fantastic. That's great. And that's all I'm going to say about SIRT-3. As new information comes out about some of the other Sirtuins, I might do future videos. But from the point of view of people that are involved in, let's say, bodybuilding, exercise, fitness, sports, the SIRT-1 and the SIRT-3 are the most interesting. SIRT-6 is the one most associated with longevity, but the SIRT-1 and SIRT-3 are the ones that are most involved or related to exercise and fitness and health span. I guess you'd have to include SIRT-6 there too. If you want more information on nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research you can use today, ergogenic aids, these are substances that will help you work out harder. Which ones work, which ones don't. Supplement science, which supplements work and which ones don't. I am not associated with any supplement company at all. I'm not on the payroll like about 98% of the people that do YouTube videos. If you look behind the curtain, you'll find that they're on the payrolls of supplement companies, and you could tell very easily by, in the comment right above the comments, there's a little box, an information box under each video. And if you see them, pushing certain company supplements, and they usually say, use this code to get 20% off, they are shills. They are paid off by supplement companies. Quite frankly, I don't watch those videos because, I don't believe that they're giving you, they're too closely associated with, supplement companies, and they do very often sneak in a little ad for their supplement sponsor in the videos. I don't like that. I don't do that myself, and I don't like that. If that doesn't bother you, more power to. I won't watch those videos. Anyway, I also cover, as I said, hormonal therapy. I cover women's health and fitness. I cover more topics in my Applied Metabolics publication than any other digital publication. It's anywhere from 30 to 45 pages each month. As I said, no ads, pure information, evidence-based. It's all true. If I have an opinion, I will label it as such. So you'll know that it's coming from me and not from the actual science. It's written in magazine style. I've been a writer for a half a century, so I've written for a lot of major publications. So I know how to write for the public, unlike these other people. I'm not saying that these other publications are bad. It's just that they're not written well. Let me put it that way. These people are not writers, and their writing is hard to get through. Let me just be kind and leave it at that. But my writing, my Applied Metabolics, will be understood by anyone who's literate, who could read. And even if you can't read, they have programs in Microsoft or what's it called? The operating system, Windows, where you could push a button, go onto the site where my publication is, appliedmetabolics.com. It'll actually read you the public. It'll read it to you. So even if you're completely illiterate, you will still be able to get all the benefit, and you will get benefit. I guarantee you. I promise you. Reading Applied Metabolics, you will learn things that you can't learn from any other source, because besides the current medical literature, Applied Metabolics includes my 60 years of study and practical experience. It's incorporated in Applied Metabolics. As far as I know, there's no one else currently publishing a digital publication that can match that. I've been in the actual trenches of the gyms working out, and most of these other people are what they call armchair philosophers. They write about it. A lot of them don't even work out themselves. And I'm not saying that makes their information wrong, but I have a little bit of everything, which is an advantage to the readers of Applied Metabolics. So subscribe today, www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, shoot me an email, and I'll send you a personal invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on exercise, nutrition, and general health every day. brand new information, really interesting stuff. I also take feedback from the subscribers. You have to be a subscriber, though, to join that Facebook group. I have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics webpage where current subscribers only, I don't accept unsolicited questions, but current subscribers only could send me short questions, anything they read in Applied Metabolics, or anything that comes to mind that they're interested in knowing about nutrition, exercise, as long as it's short. Don't ask me a question that's going to require like a 15-page answer. That will require a consult. I'm not going to do that in an email. But anyway, that's a service I offer to my current subscribers because I appreciate your support of my work. You could call it kind of a bonus. I don't know if any of these other digital publications actually do that, where they'll actually personally answer questions. I doubt it. I compete. I don't know, not really compete. I'm not in competition with any of these people. But some of these other digital publications that cover similar topics, like nutrition, exercise, they have anywhere from 10 to 30 people on their staff. My publication has one, me. And I think, honestly, this is going to sound like it's a lot of hubris, which means kind of like conceit. But I think I myself am worth more than 100 of those people in the knowledge I've acquired. I know, I'm sorry, I have to say it because I really believe that. If you read my publication, I think you'll agree with me. So that's about it. I still don't have a dog. It's been a couple of months now since Bruno died. I really miss him terribly. Still have his little bed over here. Have his ashes. Every time I look at him, I get depressed. He was my best friend for 20 years, 23 years old when he died. But trust me, I will get a dog very soon. I can't stand not having a dog because they're really your best friend. They do a lot for you. I mean, they're like instant antidepressants. So I'm going to get a dog, probably at a shelter. If I don't get this other dog, I'm going to get it at a shelter. And when I get my new dog, I'll introduce him to you guys in the video. And by the way, if you think my videos are of any value to you or anyone else, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free, doesn't cost you a penny, and I put new videos on every Tuesday. Every Tuesday there's a new video. So subscribe and tell others about my videos if they want no bullshit information. Again, there's nothing fancy here. I don't have any video editing programs. Not interested in that stuff. My good friend Rick Drayson, who a lot of people you might remember, I was on his show quite a few times. He loved to do video editing. He had a big setup in his house. He had the Apple software. He had about 5 different kinds of video software editing. He loved it. He loved adding music and adding pictures. That was his thing. He did it all day long. It's not my thing. My thing is to give you honest and truthful information. And I'm not interested in all that other crap. So if you want honest and truthful information, commercial free, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And of course, if you want really in-depth information, subscribe to Applied Metabolics at www.appliedmetabolics.com. And go adopt a dog. Save a dog. They're beautiful creatures. Please. Thank you.